everyone, welcome to the WION Sports Broadband Edition with me, Digvijay Singh Deo. Now, over the last month, we have been talking to India's Olympic hopefuls, asking them about the impact of the Olympic postponement. Today, I am joined by Viren Rasquinha, former Indian hockey captain and someone who works with India's Olympic hopefuls at Olympic Gold Quest. Viren, first of all, how have you been? Good to see you.
Thanks, Digvijay. It's tough, I guess, for everyone. These are tough times for everyone during the lockdown, but that's life sometimes, and good to talk to you after a long time.
Yes, and in fact, you're in Mumbai, and Mumbai has taken this pretty badly. So you have a young daughter at home as well. So what are the precautions you all are taking?
Of course, I think the main precaution for everyone to take is social distancing and really stay at home. And as you know, you yourself have a young kid at home, so the toughest thing for kids is always to stay at home for such a long time, to not be able to meet their friends, to not go down to play. And my kid is a very outdoor kid. She loves to play. She loves football. So it's just tough for her to be at home 24/7 all the time. So you always have to find ways to entertain them, and kids have so much energy, so that makes it a bit harder.
Yes, I would advise all of you to actually scroll through Viren's Twitter feed, because in that constrained space in his flat in Mumbai, he actually designed an obstacle course for her, which was absolutely brilliant to watch. So you've probably made up your mind, huh? Budding sports person or just inculcating some sporting discipline?
My wife and me have always said right from the start that our daughter can do whatever she wants in life. I would love it if she plays sports, but really no pressure. She can do whatever she wants as long as she has fun. But I would definitely want her to take part in a lot of sports, and I feel going out there and playing physical outdoor sports always develops a lot of good qualities in you. You learn a lot of lessons in life, and most importantly, it also keeps you healthy and fit.
Okay, let's get to sport now. And the reason I reached out to you, so I'm going to ask you the question straight up. How badly has the postponement of the Olympics, Viren, hit Indian sport? The reason I asked this question is because unlike the USA or the other superpowers in world sport, we don't have a great system which throws up these champions or Olympic medalists. We focus on very limited sports, and we focus on building up those athletes. So considering the way we are structured as a sporting country, how badly have we been hit?
Yeah, so I would definitely have preferred if the Olympics went on schedule. Obviously, with the COVID-19 pandemic, it was the right decision to do. Given that so many lakhs of people across the world have been affected, and but like I said, it's tough for the athletes to mentally sort of re-prepare themselves now to train from what was 4-5 months away to now 16-17 months away. So that's really tough for them to mentally adjust and to motivate themselves to start training again, because you prepare for so many years for this moment, and they all came so close, and now it's sort of taken away from them. So it changes everything, because for some of the top Indian athletes, especially in wrestling, boxing, shooting, many of our athletes were in very good form. But with this enforced break now, form, confidence, momentum, everything goes out of the window. So it's going to be tough to regroup, and it's also going to be extremely hard to predict what will happen now in July 2021.
I don't know about prediction, but how it seems you've got hold of my questions, despite me not sharing it with you, because that's exactly the line of questioning I was going to take. Viren, it's perhaps both of us have spent a lifetime in sport, so we both sort of think alike. But before I get to the specifics, what you mentioned, a lot of sports persons will not say it out in public, but deep within, they would be having conversations with you or other people who are working with them towards the Olympic dream. What are they reacting? How are they saying? You mentioned shooting. Shooting was a sport where we were completely dominating the world scene. Now we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, again, the athletes are definitely disappointed. We would have all loved if the Olympics went on schedule. I think India was in good, positive momentum. A lot of the athletes were very confident, and you cannot underestimate the importance of positive momentum, form, and confidence going towards a major event like the Olympics. So that's been disappointing. But athletes in general are very practical people. They adapt very quickly, and most athletes know that this was not just the right decision but really the only decision for postponement. And I think now the work for everyone is to mentally adjust themselves, and mentally when you accept this decision, I think it will be easier to take the next step of to start training all over again.
Yes, I've been speaking to a lot of sports persons over the last 1 month, and Sindhu, PV Sindhu, she actually had a very, I think her observation was spot on. She says it can affect the athletes in two ways. One is that you now tell yourself, I have 15 more months to go for the Olympic Games, or you can be despondent thinking that I had given everything over the last 2 or 3 years for this moment and it's gone. And that's going to be the difficult part. It's very few people can actually have that confidence to say, okay, fair enough, I've made my peace with it. I'm going to push my body again for the next 15 months.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's better to keep it simple, and we have to accept this decision, which was taken in the in the larger interest of society, safety and health of not just the athletes but coaches, support staff, fans across the world. That comes first and foremost. Everything else comes later. And best to keep it simple, best to accept, best to adapt and adjust, and get on with life.
Viren, do you think mental fatigue will be an issue come 2021 if we have the Olympics? There's already a huge question mark even now. Despite the Olympics getting postponed, there's a question mark if they will happen, because obviously Japan has come out and said that we need a vaccine. We're going to only then can the games happen. Will mental fatigue be an issue?
In sport there are so many variables, and maybe mental fatigue is one of them, but there will be many factors that will come into play. Look at even just simple physical fitness, especially in the physical sports like, say, boxing, wrestling, badminton, where Indian athletes had a very good chance of seriously challenging for Olympic medals. Every 1 week you don't train, your fitness deteriorates rapidly. And I had that experience from being part of a very physical sport like hockey, and that fitness takes almost a month to recover when you start training again. So think about, if you miss 6 weeks of training, it's going to take 6 months to get back to that level of fitness. So many variables are there. Mental fatigue is definitely going to be one of them. But the best athletes, the true champions, are able to overcome tough times, tough conditions, and tough situations. And so if one thing we're trying to focus on all Indian athletes is just try to retain the focus, retain the concentration, stay positive, and stay motivated.
That's something Abhinav Bindra told me as well. He said every athlete currently has to adapt. And perhaps with the situation, what we are seeing at the moment with so much uncertainty, it's the older, experienced athletes who perhaps will be able to adapt much better. He says the problem is we've got to mentor our young athletes. Someone, like say a Manu Bhakar, someone like say a Saurabh Chaudhary, 16, 17, 18, this age bracket, or even someone up to the age of 20, 21 who are basically going to their first Olympics. I think when you look at the number of people who were heading to the first Olympics, there were a lot of them. And that's where Indian sport has to focus on. Don't you think? Indian sport has to focus on them to guide them through this period.
Yeah, sure. There have been there have been athletes with a lot of experience. So like Mary Kom, people like Mirabai Chanu, Vinesh Fogart have already gone to the Olympics before. Sindhu as well. And then you have a lot of young like Manu Bakar, Saurabh Chaudhary, in fact, most of the shooters who have won quotas for India so far. Maybe just a couple like Apurvi Chandela and Rahi Sarnobat who have gone to Olympics in previously. So yeah, I think mentoring them, Yeah, absolutely. Sanjeev Rajput also. So, but the bulk of the shooting contingent, most of them will be going to their first Olympics. So I think ensuring that the right mentoring, the right guidance, the right motivation is given to these athletes at all time. Having said that, all the athletes, they may be young, but they are very, very experienced. And in most cases right now, if you look at the time, Digvijay, when I was playing for India, and you compare it with today's athlete, I think the performance of SAI, of the national sports federations, is far better than back in the day. And most of the needs and requirements of all the athletes and especially their training needs on and off the field are really well taken care of. There's so much more knowledge, information among the athletes in terms of maintaining a diet, in terms of recovery, in terms of the right kind of supplements, which was virtually non-existent 10, 15 years ago.
But it's also, Viren, the mental belief. Back then we used to go to the Olympics thinking, can we win? Talking to some of these young kids, especially in shooting, which to be fair, I've focused a lot on. These kids are ready, but going to the Asian Games, they're going up there against the best shooters in the world, Olympic champions, and beating them hollow. I think that's also been the change, this change in mentality from fearing the world to the world fearing them.
Definitely, if there's one thing that has really changed in the last decade that has been as an administrator in Indian sport through Olympic Gold Quest, I've just seen the belief of the athletes. That's the one biggest change I've seen, and really we have to thank our senior experienced athletes like Mary Kom, Saina, Sindhu, Vijender, Abhinav, Gagan Narang, all these athletes. They led the way. Sushil Kumar, Yogeshwar Dutt, all of them showed us the path. And if Olympic medals could be achieved at that time when the facilities available were much less, then it can definitely be done today. A young Sindhu grew up watching Saina break the glass ceiling. And not just Sindhu, but 100 young girls all over the country believe that even they can win an Olympic medal. So that belief is sort of intangible. It's hard to measure that, and but that's what I see as the biggest change over the last decade. When I went to play at the 2004 Athens Olympics, I don't think the Indian hockey team, we really deep down inside us, we believe that we could win the medal. But this generation, I think they are going there to seriously challenge, and they believe in their mind that that the time has come.
I think we also need to give credit to a couple of more people. I think we missed out on them. One was Leander. I was speaking to him the other day. Leander sort of got that belief back that we can win. And then I think Rathore also played an important role at the Olympics. You were in 2004. That just showed the rest of the shooting team that we can go on and win. Do you think that with this postponement, Viren, a lot of the best laid plans, as we've been talking, have been thrown out the window? We could also see a completely new set of Olympic medalists. You sort of knowing going into 2020 July, who were the athletes who were doing well. So you sort of couldn't predict the medal, but you knew that they would be in the top 10, and after that, it's a matter of who's good on that day. But for someone like, say, a Mary Kom, for someone like a Shelley Ann Fraser-Price, perhaps a Roger Federer, who this was obviously going to be the last Olympics, that this pushing yourself that hard for one more year, you don't know. This is a journey into the unknown. So anyone who's over 30, 31, this could get a lot tougher for them despite their best efforts. So do you think that with this postponement, we sort of will get a lot of skewed results, especially when it comes to the medal tally?
I actually don't agree too much with that train of thought. So obviously it'll be very hard to predict now, much more harder than before to predict who will win the medals. We're talking about experienced athletes like Federer, Mary Kom, Shelley Ann Price, Fraser. Once these athletes put their minds to something, then they will be really prepared when the time comes, whether that is in July 2020 or July 2021. It's about them taking a decision and putting their minds, and then they will be ready and they will be in the best shape of their lives. I mean, Leander in 2004, people were saying that it's his last Olympics, and we all know what happened after that.
Yeah.
So, when Mary Kom won the medal in 2012, people said that's it for her. But here we are in 2020 and she's still going strong. So no one would have said that Federer at 37, 38 would still be playing at this level. So there's a reason why they are the greatest athletes in the world. There's something intangible, there's something deep inside. There's a sense of belief, there's a sense of wanting to prove every time that they are the best. And these athletes actually work harder than anyone else. So it's going to be hard to predict the medals, but I don't think there's going to be too much change in the personnel in terms of athletes going to the Olympics. I think the same ones will be ready and they will be challenging Olympic medals.
Okay, because you spent a lifetime in sport, first as a player and then as someone who's working closely with Olympic athletes, you know the value of preparation. You can't prepare for an Olympics within sitting at home. Let's be fair. You know, a lot of our athletes currently are sitting at home. They at some point of time need to go out there and compete. By when do you think the international calendar has to resume for the Olympics to actually go ahead and to give every athlete across the world a decent crack at just competition? You need to get those competitive juices flowing.
Yeah, I think we have to accept the fact that international travel is going to be severely restricted. Quite a few sports have already announced that the remaining Olympic qualifiers will not be held in this Olympic year. So, like archery as an example. So most countries across the world have to be prepared for having domestic competitions. They got to be prepared for having good competitive national training camps, good internal competition, and make do with that, because this COVID-19 pandemic will see a sea of change in the way sport happens across the world. Really, international travel is one of the basics of modern sport, but we're going to see a lot less of that, especially in the next year and a half. So Indian athletes have to be mentally prepared that they will not be going abroad too much and be facing international competition or international training camps. Most of it will happen domestically in India. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the government and the sports ministry has indicated also that the Indian athletes will have to train in India itself, at least in this calendar year.
Okay, where do you stand on this issue of quarantine camps? You know, because Gopi Chand made that suggestion to me some time back, and then the Indian Olympic Association has also written to India's sports ministry saying, you know, maybe we should get all the athletes together into quarantine camps and let the training continue. I have a feeling we've already sort of missed the bus, because we had a great opportunity to actually, because we've got these great campuses wherein we had this opportunity, but even now, by not having our athletes taken out of their homes and put into these camps, we are losing valuable time and advantage. That's what I think. I want to understand, where do you stand on that?
I definitely think that all efforts should be made to hold quarantine camps, especially for those athletes who have already won Olympic quotas, who have great chance of seriously challenging for Olympic medals. Take for example the weightlifters led by Mirabai Chanu have been inside NIS Patiala from day one of the lockdown, and they have been there itself. So maybe just for 2-3 of the main weightlifters, couple of the chief coaches, say 1 or 2 support staff, I think maybe we could open the weightlifting hall. And similarly for the other sports, so pick and choose who are the most critical people and ensure that they start training, because like I said, we cannot afford to have a very long gap in the physical sports. It's going to be make it every single day that they don't train, it's going to get tougher and tougher and tougher. Having said that, there might be a lot of practical issues in having these quarantine camps, which I am no expert on. And I'd like to reiterate that health and safety comes first. If the government and the sports ministry and SAI are able to overcome all these challenges, then we should definitely make every possible effort to have quarantine camps for the most important athletes and their coaches and immediate support staff.
Yeah, the reason why I brought that up, and there's a background to this. You know, when the lockdown actually started, both the Indian hockey teams, the men and women, were in the SAI campus in Bengaluru, which sort of got turned into a quarantine camp. No one's allowed to come in, everyone's inside, but they're not allowed to train. A similar case is happening in NIS Patiala, where you have so many athletes who are all inside and they're not being allowed to train. That's my worry. I think that's where we've sort of, missed a trick there, that you had all your athletes inside training venues, but you haven't let them train. You obviously, they're sanitized, they're not going out, no one from outside is coming in. So what was the harm if the hockey team was allowed to play hockey? That's where I think we've sort of missed the bus.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, this is a medical issue, and honestly, the medical experts would be in a better position to say why exactly they aren't being allowed to train and what's the issue. So ideally, from a sports person's point of view, from a sports administrator's point of view, I would definitely want our elite athletes to be training, and that is happening in other parts of the world. So if, no stone must be left unturned to try and ensure that our athletes are able to start training at the earliest with proper safety procedures, safety and health parameters put in place.
We've been talking about the athletes and the sports persons, but Viren, how do organizations like you adapt? Because you've spent perhaps the day Rio got over, we were both in Rio together. The day Rio got over, you started planning for Tokyo. Now that Tokyo's got postponed, you have probably got a situation where most of our athletes have qualified, but there's still about 45-46% of the qualifications still to go. You've perhaps, say, invested a lot of time and effort on a particular athlete, but maybe by the time you hit January or February, a new set of young athletes are ready to take the step up. Is that going to be a lot of adaptation from you as well to take tough calls that maybe, maybe we need to abandon all our efforts on this athlete and perhaps back this one as well? Those kind of calls need to be taken not just by you, perhaps by the sports authority and our Olympic excellence program, which is TOPS.
I think I'll spin it in a little positive way, that we can look at this as a sort of an opportunity for more athletes to make a mark, and athletes who would have otherwise not been in contention for a place for the Tokyo Olympics if it went on schedule. But now with the 1 year postponement, we have a bigger pool of athletes that can actually maybe hope to win an Olympic quota and qualify for the Olympics, which will now be held in 2021. So let's look at it positively. Let's look at it as an opportunity. And this will just add to healthier competition within the Indian sports fraternity to ensure that the best go to the Olympics. And by and large, over the last couple of decades, selection procedures, trials have been much more fair, much more transparent. There's been much more media scrutiny. So, it's just a simple case of may the best man or best woman qualify, win that quota for India, and go there, and the best possible Indian contingent represents India at the Tokyo Olympics.
I'm obviously, I sort of have the same view as well. What I was trying to ask is, will organizations like you and the government get ready will you cut your losses if you see a great talent coming up? If Lakshya Sen is ready, if Lakshya Sen actually qualifies, I'm just giving an example, not exactly him, but if a great talent comes up, if a great talent is coming up in shooting, should we actually cut our losses and say, okay, fine, we may have invested all our resources in a particular shooter, but let's go for this one. Let's cut our losses. We can't do much about it. We've got to adapt as well.
At this level of sport, very rarely it happens that someone will come out of the blue so quickly. There might be an odd exception to the rule, but by and large, even the athletes who maybe still have a chance would already be in the fray for Olympics. And the government, national sports federations, organizations like OGQ, Go Sports, etc., JSW have already been investing in a bunch of athletes from every sport for a lengthy period of time. I think what you are saying is something related to form, where some athletes would have been in good form right now leading to the Olympics, but you can't really predict whether 7-8 months down the line, when final trials are held, say for archery or for shooting, those same athletes will still be in form. And I think that's part of the glorious uncertainty of sport. Anything can happen, but generally form is temporary, class is permanent. So all federations need to ensure that they have a very transparent mode of the selection process. I would like all federations to announce very transparently the calendar of trials, of the selection for the Olympics. And more so now in these tough times for the athletes, when mentally this postponement has affected them a lot. Because when you know the schedule, mentally you prepare to your best, and that helps you give your absolute best when the trials actually comes. We must ensure that we are able to send our best set of athletes across sports. So I wouldn't say too much about cutting losses. It's about investing in the right group of players, and from within that group ensure that the best people in form represent India at Tokyo.
Yeah, fair point. And that's what I always think as well, that the best team should go. And that's why I sort of have taken objection to what I'm hearing from the Shooting Federation. They want to declare the team for Tokyo right now. My point is, shooting is a very fickle sport. It's a sport of precision, and things could change. Who knew? Just 10-meter air rifle, Rubens, Apurvi, Anjum doing so well. Then you have Elavan Valarivan, who's come and become the world number one, won the year-ender as well. So, should federations declare teams right now when you have 15 months to go? Why can't we wait, see how the situation unfolds, and select our best team, perhaps even in January or February, after having some domestic events, high-class competition, as you said? Because in the past, Viren, especially when you were competing, till that 2008 period, we have paid the price of not sending our best players to the Olympics because somebody else had won the quota. They decided to go with that.
Again, like I say, the process of selection has much improved in the last decade or so. And the professionalism of our national sports federations has much improved from the time I was playing up to 2008. So number one, we have to trust the federations in coming up with the right process, the right calendar of trials, the right selection, the right date of selection, etc. And as long as they get their right, as long as the process is fair, transparent, and it puts across a process where the best gets selected, I think we have to trust that process. I, for one, have always made a policy that never ever interfere in the selection process. I always tell athletes, if you are good and if you deserve to be there, no matter what the selection process, no matter when the selection process, you will get selected. So just stay concentrated, stay focused. Don't get affected by too many external factors. Just maintain 100% concentration on your fitness, your mental levels, and your concentration.
Okay. Final question, Viren. What will be the new normal, in a sense, for sports when this pandemic sort of, subsides, or it's contained and we can actually, sort of get on with our lives? There is already talk that sport could change the way we sort of view sport. Let's take badminton. The handshakes before and after a match, or even in tennis, that's what we're hearing. In a sport like hockey or football, which are team sports, where all of the players sit together in a bench, all that could change. Completely. This pandemic sort of completely going to rewrite the way things are, at least for the next 7 or 8 months till a vaccine is found.
Absolutely, Diggy. I think so many things are going to change in this entire world, and definitely a lot is going to change in sport as well. I'm not sure what exactly those changes are going to be, but broadly right now, I think we're going to see a world where we're going to see a lot more virtual training, virtual preparations, and support teams not being there physically present, whether it is doctor, physio, trainer, nutritionist, even the coach. I think you're going to see a lot of online trainings. Everything is switching to virtual and online, and that's going to be the new normal. And a big change for Indian athletes is that Indian athletes until now are always used to very personally supervised training. It's like when we were kids in school, we would do our work only when the teacher is looking, and we will not do anything when the teacher is not looking. But Indian athletes have to start taking responsibility and start planning their own schedules, and taking responsibility to implement the training programs in place. Because it's not always going to be possible that the coach, physio, trainer, nutritionist is going to be physically present to spoon feed them. I think Indian athletes will need to become much more smarter in this new world that is going to arise.
Okay. final bit, I always like to end this on an optimistic note. So Viren, what do you plan to do when all this is over? What do you plan? The first thing you want to do? I know you're no longer playing, so you can't exactly say that, I want to get back to playing. That's what a lot of people are saying. But for you, when this ends, what is the first thing you want to do? Celebrate Liverpool winning the title, perhaps?
Yeah, that's been heartbreaking for me. You are a Liverpool fan as well. It's been 30 years of suffering for us, and when we're 2 wins away, to have this taken away from us would be really heartbreaking. So I hope that Liverpool can win it. Yeah, but I would love to actually, I still love to play. I love to play football. I love to play badminton. So go out and have a game, take my family out for a dinner. Just things like that. Just enjoy things that were normal to us previously, but now are not going to be normal any longer. I'm going to cherish those family dinners out much more. I'm going to cherish a game of football five-a-side much more, and taking my daughter for her football training. She's really missing that, and I'm looking forward to taking her for football because she's driving me up the wall at home.
At least she hasn't started drawing Mo Salah on the wall like I saw it. But Viren, thank you so much for your time. You're one of the wisest minds in Indian sport. You worked with so many Indian athletes. You know them in and out, and you know their sort of their mental anxieties, as well as you've been there in their moments of triumph as well. I think from talking to so many athletes, what this pandemic has done is, as you said, it's made us reevaluate the things we took for granted. And perhaps when we sort of get back to normal, we will learn to appreciate the small things in life that we'd sort of ignored and sort of expected that they will fall in place. Hopefully we get the Olympics. Hopefully India continues on that upward trajectory. It's been a while since 2004 when you went to those Olympics, Viren. And we've seen some great moments. We've seen some heartbreaking moments as well, but I think both of us agree that at the current moment, Indian sport finds itself at the cusp of actually hitting the big league. So hopefully our athletes can deliver in Tokyo 2021.
Thanks, Diggy. Together we can win, and we must help Indian athletes in every way possible to hopefully get into double digits in our Olympic medal tally. For me, that would be a massive achievement, and we mustn't forget the para athletes as well, and they are so important as well. Their preparations are equally important, and I would love to see the government and federations giving equal attention to all the para athletes.
Okay, thank you.